Hi everyone, and welcome again to my audiovisual channel. My name is Gabriela Handal, and I am a draftsman, and today I'm talking to you about the fourth of Denis Dutton's cluster criteria for art. I'm going to read the corresponding excerpt and then I will muse about it a little bit. If you'd like to support my audiovisual channel, you can do so by liking and sharing this video, and also by subscribing. These are all immediate and at no additional cost to you. If you'd like to support what I do with money, it's also very welcome and appreciated. You can do so by purchasing my drawings directly from my website, which is gabrielahandal.com, just one word. You can purchase crafts I make from eBay, you can buy prints of my drawings, or you can leave me a tip. All the links for those are going to be in the caption or video description or whatever those are called. Okay, thank you for your time and attention, and let's look at this criteria for art. Okay, so these cluster criteria for art are in this book by Denis Dutton called The Art Instinct, which I am still at the spot that I showed you that other time in the other criteria for art, which is funny but also not funny at all, but whatever. Let's see. Oh no, it's not the fourth criteria for art, it's the fifth. So let's review them. Okay, number 1 is direct pleasure. Number 2, skill and virtuosity. Number 3, style. Number 4, novelty and creativity. Number 5, criticism. Number 6, representation. Number 7, special focus. Number 8, expressive individuality. Number 9, emotional saturation. Number 10, intellectual challenge. Number 11, art traditions and institutions. And number 12, imaginative experience. Okay, so number 5 is criticism. All right, I have been recording these basically right before I do the podcast episode, within the previous half hour, which I might be flying too close to the sun with that, but I don't know, whatever. Let's get on with the reading of the part thing. Criticism. Okay, quote. Criticism. Wherever artistic forms are found, they exist alongside some kind of critical language of judgment and appreciation, simple or more likely elaborate. This includes the shop talk of art producers, the public discourse of critics, and the evaluative conversation of audiences. Professional criticism, including academic scholarship applied to the arts where it is evaluative, is a performance itself and subject to evaluation by its larger audience. Critics routinely criticize each other. There is wide variation across and within cultures with regard to the complexity of criticism. Anthropologists have repeatedly commented on its rudimentary development or near non-existence in small non-literate societies, even those that produce complicated art. It is generally much more elaborate in the art discourse of literate European and Oriental history. In parenthesis, criticism obviously exists in many spheres of non-aesthetic life with this proviso. Criticism of a kind analogous to art criticism applies only to enterprises where the potential achievement is complex and open-ended. There is generally no criticism applied to performances in the 100-meter dash. The fastest time wins, no matter how inelegantly. It is only where criteria for success itself are complex or uncertain, in politics or religion, for instance, that critical discourse becomes structurally similar to art criticism. End parenthesis and end quote. Alright, so that's the criticism section. I don't know why I have always associated the term criticism and critique, critique is the term that was used at the academy, when you would get a critique from a person or this or that person. And I don't know why specific criticism much more than critique. I have always associated it with just negativity, meaning that criticism I have understood it to be for, I don't know why, just pointing out the negative things of something. And being critical, as in pointing out, the negatives of the defects, and then perhaps providing absolutely no solution, or maybe citing better things but no solutions, or something like that. And it at some point I looked up what criticism means, just like the definition of the word, and it seems like it means more like the analysis of something, meaning that when somebody is criticizing something, they're looking at the overall both negatives, defects, and positive things, aspects of whatever it is that they're criticizing. And I have such a hard time just thinking of it that way. Although of course I think that definition is better than the perception that I have of it. I'm not sure where I picked up on that. Maybe that's just what most people generally think of the term criticism. I don't know. What do you think of the word criticism? But anyway, I think maybe at the New York Academy they use the term critique in order to not use the term criticism, because of that load that it has, that perceived load of negativity that it has. I don't know. But okay. I guess those are like my own thoughts pre Denis Dutton. I don't know. All right. Now let's talk about this specifically. So I guess what he means, what I understand, I guess, from this is rather that art lends itself just to like the conversation of it, first of all. Because it says language of judgment and appreciation, so that overlaps with what I was just saying about criticism, that it includes also pointing out the positives, the positive qualities of something, not just the negatives. Shop talk of art producers. So yeah, just if I'm talking to another draftsman, for example, then we're talking about how I make this or how I make that, or why I guess I like this or that in this drawing, what I don't care for in this drawing, or talking shop involves everything about the practice, I think. That's what I understand from it. Okay, so it seems like in the criticism section, he says that criticism can come from the artists themselves, of their own work or of the work of other people, of people that are just art critics, or like the general viewers of work, people, art collectors, art dealers, lay people in quotes, just everyone basically. I think that's a pretty cool aspect of art, that it's fuel for conversation, and kind of endless conversation. And I guess that's what he means within the parenthesis, that criticism is applied to kind of open-ended things, in the sense that you can kind of just muse about what a drawing or painting means forever. Depending on the painting and stuff, or any painting maybe, I don't know. Whereas there's other things that don't have the same kind of openness to them. His example is the 100-meter dash, so it's like you just have to run fast, and if you make it to your goal super fast, like the fastest, then you did it right. That's it. That's the only requirement. Whereas in the case of a work of art, there are many, many, many requirements for a work of art to be good. And there are, as we've been seeing with these cluster criteria, there are many, many things that make a work of art It's not just one thing. And it's not just one thing also that makes a good work of art or a bad work of art. So both are available to the conversation when talking about a work of art. And looking at the time, you guys, I think that I don't think I'm the only one, I guess, that has a negative perception of criticisms of art or critiques, because I guess that's what I'm realistically referring to, but because I have more than one colleague that has like this one critique that just crushed them, and they remember it and quote it just like all the time, every time, just like almost every time that we talk, whenever we talk. And actually I just remembered that I have a blog entry. I have not written an entry for that blog in a long time. I'm working on the unrelated to this animal-based eating experience report. That's going to be the next blog entry. But I have an entry with thoughts on critiques. And yeah, I think perhaps I think that the negative reaction to what is perceived as a negative criticism in the case of art, or maybe in the case of anything, comes from insecurity. And I think the insecurity, and this is something that I kind of discovered for myself recently, I think the insecurity comes from the feeling of incompetence. So if you personally don't feel that you're good enough at something, and somebody tells you you're not good enough at this thing, it's like, that feels terrible, obviously, because you maybe didn't want to admit to yourself that you're not good enough at whatever it is that you're doing, and then it's like extra hurtful somehow that somebody is telling you that you're not good enough at this thing that you already know that you're not good enough. But at the same time, it's like you already know that you're not good enough, and you already know that you can improve, because we can always improve, obviously, something. And we're never done learning. Like, there's not like a cap on the improvement of one's skill in art. So then, I guess this has become a muse on just art criticism in itself, and not strictly Denis Dutton's, which I think really he means more the generalized conversation about art, which I think is a very good thing to have, and I think is a very good thing about art. But anyway, back to art critiques or art criticisms and getting really offended or butthurt by that stuff. Even if it really hurts in the moment, I guess, that might just be the kind of stuff that you want to hear, because why would why would one want to just permanently always have yes men around one, being like, oh my god, that's amazing. Oh my god, that's amazing. Oh my god, that's amazing. That is perfect. That is phenomenal. And, that's cool and everything, but at the same time, we can't expect everyone to like our work. And again, any work can always have some kind of improvement. And, it might be really interesting to hear what the person who didn't like the work thinks of it. So, I think we're getting a package. What was I saying? What time is it? Okay. I think I have become pretty confident, use of the word, in receiving critiques, for example, my husband more than once has told me, but what about this or what about that, and why does this look this way or that way? And I find myself, and I noticed that I don't get angry, I don't get sad, I don't get offended. So, I guess it's also a little bit about who is telling you the criticism or the critique, but at the same time, I find it very interesting when all kinds of different people give their views on a piece of work, on an artwork. Whether it's an art collector, an art dealer, another person who makes art. Did I say art collectors? Yes. An art teacher, everyone, or a quote-unquote layperson. Somebody that knows your work from the past, somebody that is just getting to know your work for the first time, just seeing your work for the first time. I think all of those different groups of individuals can have very interesting stuff to say about any work of art. So I think there's more value than anything else in a criticism, whether it feels like the criticism is harsh or negative or just bad or whatever it is, than anything else. I have a hard time kind of not coddling, but feeling sorry for the person who is just like scarred from a criticism that they didn't like. Yeah, I have a hard time with that. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. And yes, I hope you liked that, and do tell me what you think of the term criticism, and if you've ever had a criticism that was just terrible, and if it was terrible, why do you think it hurt so much? And do you think there could be anything good in there? Alright, so I'm gonna leave it there, everyone. Thank you very much for your time, and have a fantastic day.